Hi everyone, I'm here. This is a new series and I want to thank you for coming to the first episode. Before we start, I want to say a huge thank you to a friend. She has helped bring this project to life, and I can't wait to share it with you. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help keep it growing, please subscribe. Now let's meet Lan. Hi. I'm Lan. I'm 29 years old. And this is a true story from my life. A story I still believe I lived through. I grew up with just my mother, no siblings, no father. Just her and me in a cramped apartment, where silence was louder than words. She wasn't abusive, just cold, mechanical. She provided what I needed, but never what I craved. Comfort, warmth, answers. When I was 16, she disappeared. One day she went out and never came back. There was no note, no explanation. I was put into a foster home. And I learned early that sometimes, even the people who are supposed to love you, don't. But this isn't a story about my mother. It's about a man I met 10 years later, and what happened when she reappeared. I met Evan when I was 27. It wasn't fireworks. It was better. It was steady. He was thoughtful, attentive, and knew how to listen without making me feel judged. We bonded over simple things. Late night walks, grocery store trips, quiet meals with no pressure to be anything but ourselves. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. We dated for a year before he proposed. It wasn't flashy. He just held my hand, looked me in the eyes, and said, "There is nowhere I feel more at home than when I am with you. Let's build that home together." I cried. I said yes. It was the happiest moment of my life. Until the past came crashing through the door, I'd locked it behind. A week after we announced our engagement, I got a message from an unknown number. Just 5 words. "I heard you're getting married." It was my mother. She wanted to meet, said she had something important to tell me. I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or ignore it. But Evan, being Evan, gently encouraged me to go. He even offered to come with me. I declined. This was my ghost to face. The day we met, she looked almost the same. Older, grayer, but still that same unreadable face. She didn't apologize, didn't ask how I'd been. She got straight to the point. "Who is the man you're marrying?" "His name is Evan," I said. "Why?" She asked to see a photo. I showed her one from my phone. Us laughing at a cafe. She went pale. Not shocked. Not angry. Just hollow. She whispered, "Where is he from?" "New York," I said. "Why?" And then, after a long pause, she said something that shattered my world. "That's my son." I thought she meant it metaphorically, that she was just trying to ruin my happiness again. But then she told me the truth. I sat in silence. The world around me, the cafe, the cars, the people outside, all faded into static. "What do you mean? Your son?" I finally asked. She looked down, not with guilt, but with exhaustion. Then calmly, like she was reciting a grocery list, she said, "Before you were born, I had another child. I was 16. My parents made me give him up. They took him away right after birth. I never even held him. They told me I had to forget it ever happened. So I did. I couldn't breathe." "You mean to tell me Evan is your son?" "That I'm about to marry my own brother." She nodded, "Half-brother. You don't share a father." As if that made it any less horrifying. I left that cafe and walked until my legs gave out. Then I called Evan. "We need to talk," I said, "but not at home." We met at the riverfront, our favorite quiet place. And there, I told him everything. He didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "That explains so much." Turns out, he'd been adopted. His parents had told him bits and pieces. Teenage mother, closed adoption. But no names, no faces. I never imagined it would be ... you. We didn't cry. We didn't scream. We just sat there, shattered. Two people who had found the purest thing in each other, only to learn it was built on a secret neither of us asked for. But we had to know for sure. We got a DNA test, and it confirmed it half-siblings. The wedding was called off. Quietly, no explanations. I returned the dress. He canceled the venue. We told friends. It just didn't work out, because how could we explain that truth? Some nights, I'd lie in bed, wondering if I could have stayed, if the love we built was stronger than biology. But I knew the answer. Even if society looked the other way, I wouldn't be able to live with it. A month later, my mother reached out again. She wanted to talk it through. I met her one last time, and I asked the question I'd been holding in. Why didn't you tell me about him? All these years, she shrugged. I didn't think it mattered. You were fine. He was fine. Why dig up the past? I stared at her, not with anger anymore, but with pity. You abandoned 2 children, I said. And you still think this story isn't about you. Then I stood up and walked away. For the last time. I've since started therapy. I've gone back to school. I've even adopted a dog. His name's Theo. He doesn't know my story, but he listens. Evan moved to another state. We check in sometimes, like distant cousins who once shared a dream. I haven't fallen in love again, but I'm learning to love myself. And that's something no twist, no betrayal, no cruel past can take away. If you're re-listening to this and you've ever been blindsided by the truth, if love turned out to be a mirror of pain, please know this. What happened to you does not define what is in you. You are not broken. You are not dirty. You are not wrong for loving deeply, even if the story ended in heartbreak. I'm Lan, I'm 29, and this is still my story, not hers, not his. Thank you for listening to this episode of In My Shoes. Our podcast is proudly part of the MCN family. And this story was produced by a friend. And I'd also like to give a huge thank you to our executive producer, a friend. If you'd like to support our podcast, please visit our website. You can find more information there. Thank you.